Chris Chandler, the leader of the Chicago Bears offense. He's starting to settle in behind this offensive line. Gandy, Doggins, Olin Kroops, Valerial, and the big cat James Williams. Leon Johnson and Shelton, the running backs. Dez White, Booker, and John Gilmore, the tight end. He looks like a comer.
Yeah, they want to take a good look at him today.
Chandler drops it up the middle to Leon Johnson. The Carolina defense missing the front four from the front four. Their outstanding rookie defensive end Peppers.
Second.
Rucker, Jenkins, Buckner, and Al Wallace. The linebackers Brian Allen, Will Witherspoon in the middle, and Mark Fields. Secondary Howard, Grant, Mentor, and Cousins. Chandler fakes. Fires deep. Dez White. Just like that, Reggie Howard on the chase. 76-yard strike from Chandler to the Dez White.
Well, for a team that's had trouble scoring.
Rodney Peete back to throw it. Wesley Walls makes the reception. He's got a bad foot. There was some doubt about whether or not he'd be able to play or not.
I talked to him.
Great career he's had.
Yeah, you know, his family is all out there today. And I talked to him just before the game. He's playing with an injury. It's like a torn arch. It's a plantar fascia. It's the bottom of the foot. It's ripped. And last week he tried to play, had an injection before the game. He said it still felt like it was on fire. Today he said that it felt a lot better before the game, and he expected to be a bigger factor today.
2nd and 1. D. Brown. Let's look at the Bear defense. They play a regular 4-man front. Alex Brown, Keith Traylor, Robinson, and Daniels, the front four. Urlacher in the middle, Roosevelt, Colvin, Bobby Howard, the two outside linebackers, Zuma, Brown, Green, and Williams. Start in the secondary. First down, Carolina's D. Brown. Up close to the 45, about the 43.
Well, that D. Brown, you know, he had all the injuries here at running back this year. Deshaun Foster is a guy they thought he picked up in the 2nd round. Thought he was a 1st-round type back. He's been out all year with the knee injury, and you know, Lamar Smith they've released, and so D. Brown now has gotten an opportunity. First start against Cleveland, went for over 100 yards. He's got very good vision, and he's a guy I think that the Panthers have to take a long look at today, because one of those guys is just understated, but I think he's got some talent.
Flag comes flying in as D. Brown gets it to midfield, but Alex Brown, who made the stop, will be a penalty against Carolina. Terry McCauley is today's referee.
Terry was telling me how much he enjoyed the weather out here today and a good grass field to do his job on.
Personal foul, head slap, offense, number 84, 15-yard penalty, 2nd down.
The old head slap.
You don't see that from offensive players very much.
No, you don't.
Well, that was something that Ernie Starton would do back in the 50s.
Deacon Jones.
Deacon Jones, yeah, but not the tight end. These are the guys that went over 100 yards rushing this year on their first NFL start. Pretty good list. That kid James Mungro in Indianapolis, they were teammates at Syracuse together.
Second and 17. Pete. Again, D. Brown. Alex Brown on the stop
Oh, that D. Brown, I was just reading about him this week. He's the second all-time leading rusher at Syracuse. Now, we all know some of the great backs that have come into this league, like James Brown, like Floyd Little. I mean, they've had a heck of a lot of good running backs.
Like Ernie Davis.
Ernie Davis and Jim Zonka, Larry Zonka. I mean, a lot of those guys out of Syracuse, and he's the second all-time leading rusher up there.
3rd and 15. Rodney Peete drops the throw. Pass is high, caught by Isaac Bird, but he never had a chance. There. Brian hasn't got his shopping all done yet, but
plenty of time.
He'll get there.
Plenty of time, Pat. That's what New Year's Eve is all, or Christmas Eve is all about.
Shopping.
Getting it all done.
Leon Johnson.
And up goes to Leon Johnson.
I think the one and the most disappointing thing about this Bears team this year is how they haven't been able to run the football. They're last in the league, just a little over 80 yards a game. And, they brought back the NFC Rookie of the Year and Anthony Thomas, and he had a rough start. He's out for the year with a bad finger right now. But, they've had some changes on the offensive line, but I think that's the one area that if they get any kind of a running game started with Chris Chandler, this can be a very good offense.
Incredible how many injuries they've had. Johnson again, nothing there. Maybe a yard. Brian Allen made the stop.
The guy that's anchored that offensive line this year is Olin Kreutz, who's going to the Pro Bowl, and he says the only reason why he gets voted is because he lives in Hawaii.
There, yeah.
They don't have to pay his plane ticket, and that may be true. You see Marty Booker.
I would think, knowing Olin Kreutz, that he works out some way for them to pay for his plane ticket.
He gets compensated somehow.
Yeah.
But I think it's unusual. A team that's won 4 games, last in the league in rushing, you're still getting voted to the Pro Bowl. That's the respect that he's gotten from peers around the league.
Chandler drops to throw. Wheels it outside to Johnson. Won't get the first down. They'll have to.
Nah, I'm not supporting the program.
Okay.
But I could be a candidate only because I don't have any money either.
Well, that's all you got to do to qualify. A lot of us. D. Brown is wrestled to the ground by Roosevelt Coleman.
Look, that plumber that's on the show makes $19,000 a year.
Right.
Well, my second and third job combined, I'm making a little bit more.
$19,000. He must have a bad agent.
Yeah, right. Do you think plumbers have agents?
Maybe not, as I think about it.
Yes.
Second and 10. Rodney Peete looks outside to Chris Mangum, who makes the catch, short of a first down. Bears lead at 7-0 with 7 minutes left in the first quarter. There's the owner of this franchise and his wife, Jerry Richardson, who's a wide receiver with the Colts. Played against him myself.
Yeah, a couple big games there, huh?
Yeah.
Colts and Giants, and recovering well from a bypass heart surgery a little over a month ago.
And he's had some kind of a bacterial infection to go along with it. I was talking to him earlier. Nick Goings gets the carry, and Mr. Richardson was saying he didn't know what feeling bad was until he got that infection.
Yeah. This time of the year, always want to be thankful for your health, and
yeah.
He's also responsible for the stadium. And I always like coming to do games at the stadium, like being in Charlotte. It's a perfect Carolina day and just a great place to enjoy a game.
A great atmosphere.
One of the better places in this league, if not the best, I think, to come watch a game.
Rodney Peete out to Muhsin Muhammad. Roosevelt Williams up to make the stop.
Yeah, the paper, in Charlotte here today, they don't really scald you for winning 5 games this year. They actually talked about what a great time it is to come out here for a game and how a lot of these people are going to miss it.
Yeah.
In Chicago, they've suffered this year. I mean, basically 16 away games. from Soldier Field as they prepare for their really renovated stadium a year from now, and I think it'll all be worthwhile when they finish it.
You don't read those kind of endorsements and pleasant experiences when you go to Texas Stadium these days, where I live.
No.
Of course, they're building a new stadium or renovating Soldier Field. And you're still going to have some of the sights of Soldier Field and what it looked like, but once you get past that, it's going to be a magnificent lakefront edifice. Is that correct?
Edifice is a good word.
Yeah.
That'd be a face, yeah. And, you know, the Bears have all talked about how endeared they are to the fans in Chicago and the support that they've gotten in Champaign this year, and we've witnessed it, Pat.
Oh, man. Pete through the hands of Muhammad.
As long as you get hot at the right time of the year, and they need a little bit of help from New Orleans or Atlanta, that team gets to the playoffs, and I think they're going to make a little noise.
Well, they play Philadelphia next week, next Saturday. Chandler to Booker.
Marty Booker walking back to the huddle. What a year that he's had. And we put up the Pro Bowlers from the Bears, Olin Kreutz, Marty Booker, Urlacher, and Booker was the one that was most surprised. Because although he had 100 catches last year, and he's got a lot of catches this year, might get 100 again this year, he just thought that with a bad team and a team that's losing, he wasn't going to get the recognition, but he has earned all of his recognition.
First wide receiver for the Bears to go to the Pro Bowl since Dick Gordon in 1971.
Yeah, Dick Gordon. He didn't go like back-to-back years like 1970 and 71.
I think he did.
Yeah, you know, and Marty Booker was rewarded this year as much for the catches as for his blocking, his toughness, and I think the thing that jumps out is the class that he carries himself with. That he's not a guy that beats his chest, not a guy looking for all kinds of accolades or attention. He's content to do his job and go back to the huddle and go do it again.
Well, if he beat his chest, he's got such big hands, he'd hurt himself.
He would, wouldn't he? With some long fingers.
Leon Johnson. You know, Booker's got on gloves today.
Well, he wears gloves, but I'm not sure why, because they're too small for his hands.
Them.
Yeah, you can't button them. They don't make a glove big enough to cover those fingers.
They ran out of Velcro.
Yeah. You know, he's the #1 or #2 receiver in every single pass pattern in their offense. So it's frustrating for guys like Dez White, but he has to constantly adjust them just to keep them on.
Dez White should be feeling better about things right now after that 76-yard touchdown. Gilmore makes the catch. A perfect toss again from Chandler.
Well, this is another guy that they want to take a look at, and he has all the tools. Here he is here, running a seam route right down the middle. Now, there's not a lot of tight ends that can beat linebackers down the seam in this league, and when you get one, you want to hold on to him, and you want to develop him. And Chandler, this is a great throw by Chandler. He had time and vision. That's that touch that Chris has. But I think this kid right here, Gilmore, 6th-round pick in New Orleans, picked up on the practice squad by the Bears. Bears lost John Davis this year, Fred Baxter, and now he's getting an opportunity.
They left it on the ground. And the Panthers have it.
Young receiver like Dante Stallworth for this offense.
Deep to Wesley Walls, trying to run that seam pattern.
Wesley Walls has had, well, here's the route. It's like it was just incidental contact, just tripped him with Bobby Howard. But an interesting career for Wesley Walls, because in his first 5 years, Pat, he wasn't a target in San Francisco. They had Brent Jones there. He was a backup. He was the deep snapper there. He was injured a couple of years. Really, from that 5-year period on, he's been as dominant a tight end as there is in pro football.
A couple of years in New Orleans and then here. Pete was hit just as they let it go. Steve Smith, the top.
Rice Patty out here.
That was a holding penalty against Carolina. It moved him back 10. Pete outside Smith. Had one man to beat. Ever been to the Daytona 500?
No, I never have. I've been to the Indy 500.
That's an experience, and so is Daytona.
Those cars are loud.
Yeah. When I first went there, maybe I'm dating myself.
We'll let you know, Pat.
But half the race was run on the beach.
They race on the beach down there, yeah. I never understood that in Daytona. You know, you're down there on the beach, you're laying out there, you're looking at the girls, and here comes the cars whizzing by you.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't look at the girls much. You protected yourself. Brad Hoover with a reception from Pete.
You know, you look at Rodney Pete here, and he came in this year, and he was brought in by Dan Henning, who coached him in Detroit 10 years ago. And, you know, he thought he was going to be a mentor here, a backup quarterback. He got thrown into it. He's playing with a torn tendon in his right middle finger that there's no way that you can actually tape it and protect it. I mean, it's just painful every time he grips a football. But he's been such a good leader here. I mean, I think he's a guy that you have to bring back next year with whatever other young quarterbacks you have.
Just a little too far for Nick Goings.
Pass intended for Nick Goings.
He had a first down if he could have made the reception. The oldest starting quarterbacks this season, Testaverde in New York, Steve Berline now in Denver, Chris Chandler, Rich Gannon in Oakland, and Rodney Pete.
And Steve Berline got old here in Carolina. He got hit a lot. He played behind some poor offensive lines, but I think it's a credit to all those guys, the years that they're having, that they can still line up and play, and how much that position needs that type of experience.
Well, you can't possibly absorb it all in 1 year. Goings, the ball carrier, stopped by Mike Brown.
Let me tell you, Rodney might be the most popular guy in the league. And I'll tell you why, Pat. Him and his wife, Holly Robinson, they host a party at the Super Bowl. Last 2 years, it's been the Maxim party. This year, Maxim isn't the sponsor. The E-Entertainment Channel is the sponsor. I mean, every player in this league wants to go to that party, including coaches. I saw prominent head coaches in the NFL last year in line trying to get into his party a year ago.
She was on our pregame show last year.
Oh, quite a splash.
There's Smith.
Whoop.
And he's gone.
Yeah, he is. Whoops.
Kept his balance down at the 2. Mike Green. Jerry Azuma dived at his feet. And you got the ball.
Yeah.
That slows you down a bit.
Slows you down a little bit.
Chandler taken down by the rush from Al Wallace.
Well, I tell you, Al Wallace has filled in for Julius Peppers from the suspension. Here he is up at the top, and he's going to beat the tight end on the play right there, Gilmore. Didn't think that he didn't think he had him. But what a story Al Wallace is, Pat. I mean, this is a guy that came into this league with Jacksonville as a free agent. Didn't work out there, went to Philadelphia, got 6 sacks in 1998. And since that point, had his ankle broken, had a foot injury, was in Philadelphia and Chicago, and he was out of football for 2 years.
Chandler, and the ball goes straight up in the air. Gathered in by Adrian Peterson. A flag on the play. It's going to be against the Bears.
That's Al Wallace again that was forcing that play.
What else can happen on the play?
Had a little bit of, they sorted it out pretty fast, though.
Holding, offense, number 57, penalties decline, 3rd down.
Decline the penalty.
So here's Al Wallace. He's the one that draws the holding. He got inside Big Cat Williams. Here he comes, 96. And when he was out of football, Pat, he was an assistant principal at a high school in West Palm Beach, Florida. He said playing the NFL is a whole lot easier than dealing with high school students in West Palm Beach.
But he had no discipline problem. Here comes the blitz by the Panthers, and down he goes, Mike Rucker this time.
Problems for Chris Chandler, who just got mauled 3 plays in a row.
Pete Hits outside Muhammad.
Last week, Muhsin Muhammad didn't catch his first pass to about 3 minutes to go in the second quarter. And, you know, the offense used to go through Muhsin. He's caught 100 passes in this league a few years ago, and he doesn't get those opportunities now. He's not the focal part of the offense, and it's spread around a whole lot more. And he said he's really had to concentrate on just his focus, staying in the game, knowing that he may go a while without catching passes in this offense.
D. Brown. Right now, let's return to James Brown in Los Angeles.
Hey, Pat and Brian, well, the focal point of the Giants offense is this guy, Tiki Barber, who rushes for his 10th touchdown of the season. That coming on after 2 big catches by the Pro Bowl rookie Jeremy Shockey. The Giants trying to help their playoff chances up. 10-0 back to Pat and Brian.
And as you pointed out, Brian, they're a hot team right now. Rolling.
Well, and I think they're going to give Indianapolis all they can handle today and Philadelphia next week. And then I think Tiki Barber is a guy that belongs in the Pro Bowl. He's one of those guys that you can make a great argument that he might even be able to start in the Pro Bowl. He leads this NFC in yards from scrimmage this year.
And they said he couldn't be an every down back.
Well, he bristles at that, and he always gives the credit to Jim Fossil for staying with him and giving him that opportunity to be an every down back.
Next week, New York City provides the backdrop for a Fox Saturday matchup as those Giants we were just talking about host NFC rival Philadelphia. It all begins with the pregame show at 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific. Next week, Fox NFL special on Saturday.
I think they got a good one, Pat. I think that's going to be a great show. You know, you look at the way the Giants have played the Eagles over the last 3 games. It's all been very, very close and decided by just a couple of big plays. They match up well with,
especially in New York, where they play next week. Pete high. Nick Goings the target. Rodney Pete a little bit high.
You know, John Fox had some interesting comments about the playoffs talking to us on Friday. He said that it all comes down to where you play, home field advantage, and then matchups. He said, for example, he matches up really bad with Atlanta because their front four really can't control Mike Vick, and he makes huge plays. But against a team like Tampa Bay, they match up very well with them because Tampa Bay doesn't have explosive speed, and their rush can get to Brad Johnson. So he said matchups are so important.
Mishandled, and the Panthers have it. Recovered by Emmanuel McDaniel. And the Bear defense will be tested again. Merritt mishandled the kick.
Now, this is his second mishandled ball today. And he just misjudged that. I don't know if it was the sun in his eyes here. There's not a lot of sun in Chicago this time of the year. And he's looking right into that bright ball of fire, and he just short-armed. He just shorted that ball.
Just misjudged it.
Yeah, misjudged it. You don't know if he got lost in the sun. I don't think he ever got underneath that football. Maybe just... Yeah, went right through the fingertips.
Right through the fingertips. But he wasn't looking into the sun. The sun's over here. Here's Pete. There was Muhsin Muhammad, who got bent every way possible, but got to the one.
Well, right now, it's Todd Haley, the wide receiver coach, talking to Ahmad Merritt. Let's just see if that actually... Can't tell if it actually ever touched the
I think
fingers.
he's got his fingertips.
Yeah. It looks like at least he's trying to look
change direction a little bit right there.
Yeah, you know, and I think he was looking this ball into his hands, except he just misjudged it. I mean, he was, you know, it was too far in front of him.
Yeah. Pete. Nope. Hoover the target. Every team runs this play, a semi rollout. Once they get down close to the red zone or in the red zone, and nobody ever makes it work.
Well, Rodney's studying that play chart on him. I mean, all the plays are numbered here And so the offensive coordinator, Dan Henning, just gives him a number. You need an eye chart and maybe glasses if you're 37 or 36 like Rodney to see it and read it. But you're right. Rollout, you take away the first receiver, there's no option.
Touchdown.
Jack Del Rio. The two guys have energized this franchise and gained respectability in defense.
I don't think John had gray hair when he came here.
No, he said that, Pat, that he's got a whole bunch more, and the Grecian isn't doing the job. That's that defensive line from just the last drive where they sacked Chandler 3 times in a row. And we saw them in games this year, Pat, where in Green Bay, they should have won that game. Against Dallas, maybe the most improbable loss I've seen all year. They were talking about a shutout with 4 minutes to go in the game, and the Cowboys came back to beat them.
There was another guy there who deserves some credit as well, Jack Del Rio.
Well,
Leon Johnson, the ball carrier.
You know, we talked on the pregame show today about Bill Parcells surfacing in Dallas as a potential coaching candidate there, and that's a guy right there, Jack Del Rio, that is going to get mentioned, maybe not this year, but by next year. That's the next Jeff Fisher in Tennessee. I mean, a young guy that played the game, you know, was a great athlete. You know, he played baseball at USC with guys like Randy Johnson and Mark McGuire. Could have played pro baseball or pro football. A great career at linebacker.
Chandler back to throw. Pressured again. Flag on the play. Pass is caught and juggled and incomplete.
For any rookie quarterback to come into this league.
Yeah, it's almost impossible. It's been done, but...
Well, it can be done, Pat, but here's what has to have. You've got to have a great offensive line that can protect them. And you've got to have, you know, a built-up group around them. You've got to have good, experienced receivers, a solid defense, and so that you can work with them slowly, and he doesn't have to be the franchise guy. That's what happened to Carolina. You know, they drafted Chris Weinke. He won the Heisman Trophy. And they weren't really very good last year around him. And he struggled all year. And then once Rodney Peete took over to start the season, he was just kind of shot.
Now he's the third quarterback. Rodney Peete back to throw and chased and does get rid of it just before he was hit. Roosevelt Williams, the defender. I guess the last rookie quarterback to really make an impact was Dan Marino.
Well, Danny Marino, but I mean, Peyton Manning started from the very beginning there in Indianapolis. I just think when guys get thrown in there, Pat.
But starting is different from making an impact.
No question. No question. So, I mean, Dan Marino didn't start his first 4 or 5 games there in Miami at that time, and gradually you couldn't keep him off the field. I think there's got to be a beginning period where they can just work their way into it.
Right. Scooped up by Leon Johnson. Back there in place of Merritt.
It's the third-string quarterbacks that have started in the records. I mean, Mark Bulger in St. Louis is going for his 7th straight win as a starter. A.J. Feely won another game last night for the Eagles. Patrick Ramsey, we'll take a look at him next week. He struggled in Washington all year. And then Keely Smith, Randy Fasani started the game here. But Henry Burris here, their third quarterback, getting an opportunity to play right now. I think right now, I mean, you can't argue with a guy like A.J. Feely or Mark Bulger. Maybe I think you get a guy that has a feel for the game like those guys, that's not a bad way to go.
Right. Burris ducks away from one man, and then he's taken down and lost the ball.
Was the arm going forward?
And the Panthers have it.
I mean, Burris is saying that arm's going forward. Oh, that ball
slipped on the way back.
On the way back, yeah. Lost control of it. Oh, yeah, that ball was out.
Yeah, forced by Al Wallace again.
Yeah, Al Wallace. Al Wallace, I tell you, you know, the former high school principal, he said that the toughest group to control were the girls. He said they weren't listening to him. He said they knew that he played pro football. They still weren't going to listen to him. They challenged him. They said, if you're so good, why are you here? Why are you taking detention today?
D. Brown inside the Bear 30. Stopped by Brian Robinson. I taught school one time.
What subject, Pat?
English and history.
English and history.
And you better believe it's tough. It's tougher to teach a junior high English class than it is to do a Super Bowl. I can tell you that. Because you know those people at the Super Bowl are watching and listening.
Yeah.
You don't know that in the 7th grade English class.
Wait a second. You're back in the day, though, Pat, when everybody sat with their hands on the table and hands folded, and they had discipline, right?
I don't know where you went to school, but that didn't take place at my school.
Where was that? And that was down in Lake City?
Yeah. Well, Brian Allen, who's playing in this game, is a
Lake
Columbia
City.
High Tiger from Lake City.
The Columbia High Tigers. Well,
Right.
I tell you, Al Wallace, he was shaking. He said, I was there, and these kids would come in there, and they were all challenging. They wanted to take him out in the parking lot and challenge him, to fisticuffs. And he said, I'm 28 years old. I really like pro football. What in the world am I doing here? I got a wife and a daughter, and I'm getting challenged by high school kids.
I don't remember that ever happening to me. Of course, we didn't have any parking lots then.
That was before cars?
Mike Green, the defender intended for Muhsin Muhammad. Right. Roosevelt Williams also back.
Pass interference. Defense. Number 20. Automatic. First down.
Call for pass interference. He's the one who shoved Steve Smith in the back.
Wow, I tell you, Ro Williams is making his second start. Both hands are in the air.
That ball is totally uncatchable, isn't it?
Uncatchable ball, Pat. And then the other thing is there was no contact on his part.
Not guilty. Brown.
Take a look at this play against Ro Williams here. Rodney Pete putting a lot of air underneath it. Tell you, Ro Williams might have pushed on Muhsin Muhammad before we got to the end zone.
But he got no shot to catch it.
Yeah. Rodney Williams studying that play chart on his wrist. That's tough, young players.
Yep.
This is a league where you got to be able to play the ball in the air. That's what it comes down to. The athletic ability is so even, offense and defense.
Pete. Touchdown, Muhammad.
Really, this is going to be Henry. This is what turnovers do this year in the NFL. Come back and take a look at that and how critical they are to a team's success.
Burris gives to Leon Johnson, no gain. Chris Jenkins made the stop.
Well, right now, Chicago has 3 turnovers, Pat. And in this year, you win 18% of the games if you have 3 turnovers. You get to 4, you're down to 10%. So that's how important that whole stat and that graphic is in this league. Everybody talks about them. You don't want to commit them and you want to force them. Chris Jenkins trying to do his part there in the middle of that powerful defensive line that has controlled this game, especially here in the second quarter.
Burris. Buried. Mike Rucker.
I don't think I've ever seen a faster sack than that in this league. I mean, Henry Burris took the ball. Watch. I don't know if he took one step and it was over. Al Wallace was on the backside. Mike Rucker was on the inside. Here comes Wallace. Here comes Rucker. And there's blood in the water right now. Henry Burris is a mobile guy, but I don't think any amount of mobility can get away from that.
Right now, most of it's bear blood.
Hunting season.
3rd down. Burris blitzes on. Running for his life and just got the ball out of there. Pressured by Chris Jenkins and numerous other Panthers.
Well, Jenkins is just a beast at defensive tackle. And a guy that is going to get Pro Bowl mention in a couple years if he stays hungry and he keeps working on his game. But there, the Bears just had a complete breakdown. I mean, you at least got to get in front of the big guy. And that was a rollout that time, and Jenkins came on the backside. Nobody touched him.
Brad Maynard's punt sails to Steve Smith. And there he goes again. Into Bear territory about the 47, where he's knocked down there by Larry Wiggum. Next week, it's a Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader, beginning with America's #1 pregame show. And the Panthers try to slow down Aaron Brooks and the Saints team trying to earn a playoff berth, followed by the Packers and the New York Jets. Coverage begins at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, here on Fox.
Packers 3-0
over Buffalo.
Lambeau today. Tampa Bay hosts Pittsburgh tomorrow night.
That's the NFC playoff picture them out. Rodney Peete from behind by Mike Green.
Rodney just went and checked out that play chart.
Yeah.
And he said, wait a second, what in the world play did I just call? Because I want to get that thing off my wrist. He's like,
I want something in there about picking this guy up.
Yeah, I'm not calling that anymore. I don't need that. I got to host a Hollywood party in a month. Look at that.
The party's in Hollywood?
Well, that's at the Super Bowl.
Well, that's
San Diego.
San Diego.
Yeah. Yeah, and I tell you, I don't think Mike Green there that just sacked him is on the invitation list. He's not getting in.
Here's Rodney Peete. That was supposed to be a screen pass, it appeared. But somebody shot it on the way there.
Wesley Walls could have taken one of his shotguns out and blistered this one. Look at this move. He's throwing a screen to Nick Goings. And Rodney, after that last sack, was just trying to get out of it.
3rd and 10. Panthers lead at 21-7.
Here's a matchup here. Muhsin Muhammad against the rookie Roosevelt Williams.
There's a blitz coming again. Mike Caldwell up the middle, and around the corner, Alex Brown.
The kid, he hate me, right?
Yeah.
From the XFL, that other league that isn't around any longer.
With the moves like that, this doesn't work out. He can be a cheerleader.
Rod Smart's been a good player here. And a good special team pickup for the Carolina. Good for him.
We got punch.
Yeah. Holiday punch.
Yeah, we got water.
Yeah, that's good.
Nick Goings.
He was brought down by Mike Green.
Rodney's all ready to go here. He's lined up.
Back there.
Going to run this drill here.
2 timeouts remaining. Rodney had a man open. Wesley Walls. That doesn't happen very often. That was Chris Mangum. I'm sorry. Wesley and Chris. I'm sorry.
Well, they're both from Mississippi. You know, one's 85, 86. It's hard to tell. Both country boys. Both out there doing some deer hunting on Friday. Wesley Walls tried to get and make Kerry Collins a country boy. Now Kerry Collins is out. He's doing his deer hunting on Fridays, and they're comparing notes.
Isaac Bird. And the ball came loose, I think.
Yeah, it did.
Yes, it did.
Steve Smith's going to say that he was down. Get up, run the play.
Long count. See if you can draw him offside.
No, just snap it right away. Fast, quick count.
No throw. Ball came flying out.
That's a fumble.
I heard somebody yell, "That's a fumble."
No, when somebody's saying it's like they're saying it's down.
There's a little scrum going on.
The player that recovered the fumble
is ruled down by contact.
Anything here before halftime. Real confidence for Henry Burris wouldn't help either. Wouldn't hurt.
Leon Johnson. Again, the ball comes out, but after he was down, Wesley, I'm sorry. Timeout, Bears. The Bears down to 2 timeouts now, but sort of academic. There's only 12 seconds left. Henry Burris.
Oh, got him.
To the 30. Marcus Robinson. Not heard of. Heard from for a long time. 1 second left.
Well, Henry Burris made a play. Got some protection finally and found Marcus Robinson open in the middle of the field.
1 second.
That's a good throw.
And here comes Edinger with the unique style. He turns his back to the goalpost. He doesn't see the rush. Panther ball, their own 35, D. Brown. Almost slipped out of there. Stopped by Mike Brown. Rodney Peake had a solid first half. 12 out of 23, 126 yards. No interceptions and 1 touchdown. D. Brown, 2 touchdowns. Second and 3. Brown got 7. Bounced outside. It's Brown again for the Bears, who trail it 21-7. Leon Johnson. Flag on the play. Will Witherspoon.
There's no foul for holding on the play. The player that was held made the tackle behind the line. Second down.
Word on Chris Chandler is that he's out with a concussion.
He's probably lucky that's all he's out
Watch
with right now.
his head snap back here.
Yeah, I mean, after that series where, he saw, that's usually what happens when you have a concussion. You don't know where you're at and can't stand up and feel woozy.
Well, he fills all the bills. Nothing doing. Pass tipped by Mike Rucker.
Well, Henry Burris, he's usually this kid that has this great bouncing personality, is great fun to have around, but he just looks like right now that he's lost out there. And, the protection isn't helping him, and the fact that Carolina is all over him, they know it. They know that they've got a young guy back there that hasn't had a lot of reps, hasn't seen a lot of the NFL, and they know if they get in his face that he's going to see a lot of ghosts out there.
Back to throw. Back to not throw.
Oh, he was on his back throwing is what he was.
Yeah, Mike Rucker put the pressure on.
Hey, you know what? I'm watching Rucker there and Jenkins get off the field right here. These guys running a game together. This is fun for these guys. Don't tell these guys that there's no playoffs. And what you tell these guys is, man, you only get 7 more days to play this game this year, and they'll be disappointed.
They'll win the NFC South, or the AFC South. Another game involving the Giants. They try to keep their playoff hopes alive.
About Henry Burris in this last throw. Watch his eyes. It's hard to hit a target when the eyes are completely shut as you're bracing for that hit by Mike Rucker.
It's hard to get the ball to the deep receiver.
Now forget about deep receivers. I mean, you don't know where that ball's going to go. And, it's just a bloodbath back there now.
D. Brown, nothing doing for him. Ryan Robinson led the defense.
This Carolina team, they lost so many close games. We did a couple of them, Pat. I know we discussed that earlier, but this is a better team. One of those teams you say, who's good, who's bad, forget about the records. This is a much better team than 5-9. You know, you just see the way that they're coached. They've got talent. You know, Muhsin Muhammad and Steve Smith could line up for a lot of teams as the wideouts in this league.
Got a good defensive front four.
Very good.
Pete outside the Hoover. About a yard is all. Mike Caldwell was right. Sims will lead Texas for the final time. Brian Balding will be there.
I'll be there New Year's Day, Pat. I'll be up long enough on New Year's Eve to make my resolutions, bring it in, and then we get started pretty early on New Year's Day. I think Chris Sims is one of those guys, though, that I think is going to be a better pro than he was a college quarterback. I mean, he's got the arm, the size, the pedigree. I just think in the right system, Chris Sims is going to be a guy that a couple of these teams might want to take a look at, both Chicago and Carolina. And I don't know if you need to go out and spend your first-round draft pick on a quarterback sometimes. I'm not sold that Joe Harrington and David Carr, are the answers.
Well, Chris Sims is 6'5", 235. So he certainly
he also
fits the physical bill.
He's got that, Pat. You know, but with his dad, you know he's going to know what it takes in order to prepare.
Been around the game.
Been around
all
the game
of his
a
life.
long time. Understands what it's like to be a professional and what that entails. And that takes a year or two with some of these young guys sometimes to teach.
That game starts at 11 a.m. Eastern time.
Oh, it's 10 a.m. in Dallas, Pat.
Yep, yeah, I know.
Yeah, we're up before the sun comes up.
Think you'll have your Christmas shopping done by then?
I hope so.
It'll work.
Yeah. Some of them not really in the best of outfits.
Right. Here's D. Brown. Stopped by Mike Brown, but not until he had skipped for a first down.
He's not well either. Something happened to him on that last tackle. He did about 2 or 3 spins to get those yards in that play. There's one of them. Drove that left shoulder right into the ground that time.
Nick Goings is coming to take his place. 21-7 Carolina over the Bears. Bears broke on top with a 78-yard touchdown pass. D. Brown is headed for the locker room. Goings gets the carry. Dragged down for a little gain by Alex Brown. The Bears are high on Alex Brown. They think he's going to be an outstanding player in time.
Well,
he's good now.
Yeah, he is. And I tell you, the defensive coordinator, Greg Blasch, has said that he's over the hump. He's not worried about Alex Brown. He knows that he's a playmaker. He's a great student of the game. He was a guy that was drafted in the 4th round out of Florida, but he probably had 1st or 2nd round talent. They just didn't think that he'd have a motor like he's demonstrated here in his rookie year.
Joe Montgomery.
Somebody cleaned up.
Yeah, did they?
Was that Urlacher coming in there?
I think it was.
Yeah, it looked like Montgomery was going to gain some yards, and all of a sudden he just got shot down. Now watch Urlacher here. We're going to pick his spot here. He's going to come and, oh yeah.
Boy, when he turned on the Jets.
He did, didn't he?
He closed it.
Yeah, and look, for all you kids out there that want to learn how to tackle, you run through the man. You look through him to the other side. And that's how you stop him. And that's what Urlacher did. He ran right through Joe Montgomery.
Heat back to throw it on 3rd down. Brings it back down. And now is taken down by Joe Tafoya.
They're getting.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's too many.
Adrian Peterson by Mike Minter.
In the middle now for Carolina. Carolina is starting the rookie, Will Witherspoon, at middle linebacker. He's only about 220 pounds. So, you know, as long as he gets protected like he was there, where he doesn't have to fight off those 300-pound offensive guards and centers, he can run and use his speed to go make plays. And he's been in double-digit tackles now the last couple of weeks at middle linebacker.
First down, Bears. Straight ahead for Leon Johnson.
And Will Witherspoon they've had 5 different middle linebackers this year in Carolina. You know, Dan Morgan's a starter and he's out. He just had shoulder surgery this week. And, you know, then they had Lester Towns, who was their starter the last couple of years. He got hurt. He's out for the year. They've had Brad Jackson in there. Witherspoon's there. Brian Allen's played middle linebacker. He's trying to find somebody that can hold that position down.
Johnson again. Stopped by Witherspoon again.
Here's Witherspoon right in the middle. See, again, he's not contacted. No lineman got to him. He got protected again, and that's what a middle linebacker should do. I mean, if you're free in the middle like that, you've got to have a nose for the ball, and then, you know, you have to want to go and make some tackles. So you can pad the tackle numbers there a lot as long as you're not interfered with and blocked.
Leon Johnson gets a yard. Stopped by Rucker.
And on the tackle, Mike Rucker. Along with Chris Jenkins.
Gonna bring up third and about 3. 4 minutes left in the third quarter. Carolina continues to lead 21-7.
Well, if Chicago's going to make a play in this game, Pat, I think it has to start about now. I mean, they got a third down. They've been running the ball a little bit here. Henry Burris is going to have to make a play, but they need to score here on this drive.
Leon Johnson stopped again by Rucker.
Yeah. That defensive front, who's dominated the game, did on a big play. You see, look at Jenkins in the middle here. I mean, that's just a man-child there. Fought through the double team. You know, and then at the bottom there, you get Mike Rucker. A lot of bodies coming. Look at Jenkins coming in there. I mean, he's just a hard guy to block. He's just big and active and athletic and can be as good as he wants to be.
This will be the 18th punt of the game coming up. Trying to pooch it. It does at the 11. Steve Smith fair catches it there. 28-yard kick.
Yeah,
but down at the 11. Excuse me.
No, but I mean, for teams that aren't in the playoffs, Pat, I mean, they start thinking about the draft. And as of today, this is what the order would look like. Chicago right now can finish anywhere between drafting 2nd and drafting 11th. And I tell you, as a player, nothing irritates you more than people starting to talk about the draft at this time of year. First of all, we hate the draft. We hate rookies as a veteran guy. And you could care less about those people. I know the writers like to talk about it. And, you know, why win a game if you get a better draft position, all that kind of nonsense. You're Brian Urlacher. You're trying to win every game you can and enjoy what comes with the win. It's just a good time.
Inevitable that as a player, when somebody starts talking about the draft, they start talking about one of our needs is a position that you play.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And that irritates you more because they're like, well, what about me? You don't like me and you're going to go for offensive line in this draft?
Here's Rodney. Incomplete. Intended for Steve Smith.
Now that we've got a lot of the players out there all ticked off because we're talking about the draft, we'll show some of the top some of the top players here that are coming out at different positions. And believe me, all the draft geeks out there, and there's a ton of them, they follow the draft the way Jerry Angelo with the Bears does. You got Palmer and Leftwich at the quarterbacks right now. Chris Sims on New Year's Day with the Cotton Bowl. Take a look at him. Willis McGahee, though, at Miami.
Yep.
I think he's only a sophomore, Pat. That running back, he's one of those guys like Clinton Portis in Denver this year. Looks like he could be, you know, a guy that could come in and play right away.
And Charles Rogers, Pete scrambling, hits Isaac Bird, and that'll get him a first down. Charles Rogers at Michigan State.
Yeah, that's
the wide receiver, 6'8".
Yeah, oh, he's a target.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember like Harold Carmichael?
Yep.
But he could run a lot better than Harold ever could. But Muhsin Muhammad, the wide receiver for Michigan State, said, look, we dominate that position now. Muhsin, of course, you know, having a good career there at from Michigan State. Surprised to hear that he got a new head coach the other day.
Joe Montgomery hammers away outside the 30. A minute 15 left to play in the third quarter. Score continues as it has been for a long time. 21-7. The Giants 30-6 over Indianapolis.
They need some help today from Cincinnati. Doesn't look like Detroit's going to give them any help, but they need a win today and next week against Philadelphia on Saturday, and then they need a loss by either New Orleans or Atlanta, and the Giants will go to the playoffs.
Well, sometimes you think that's not going to happen, but you look yesterday to Minnesota.
Oof.
Quarterback all the way and stayed away from injury. The one he had when the game started, lofting deep for Smith, incomplete. Good coverage, no flag. Roosevelt Williams right with him, pulling the defense off sides, and that worked in that case.
Right about that.
This is Nick Goings. How do you think Bill Parcells would look with a star on his helmet as head coach of the Dallas Cowboys?
He's a coach. He's just a coach,
yep.
Pat, and that's what he's always been. And I think the only thing that would hold him back is just his health concerns. You know, and he's a guy that doesn't want to be the general manager.
No, he doesn't want anything.
He doesn't want any of that. You know, he wants to coach. He'd like to have good players, you know, and he'd like
to win.
And he'd like to win.
And he would win.
I think Dallas is a perfect situation for him because I think they're not that far away. And he's got players there. You know, he's got a defense that plays most Sundays pretty hard. We've seen him a lot this year. The Carolina Panthers saw an example of that this year.
And then they have a young secondary, but it's developing.
And, you know, an offensive line is a position, they've got to get a lot better there.
Yeah.
But you can find offensive linemen. You don't have to go out and spend #1 draft picks and spend a lot of money for linemen. You just need tough guys that like to play the game. And you can find those guys. You can patch that up.
One thing you are going to have to do if you're going to get Bill Parcells is spend a lot of money.
To get him.
Yeah. He drops the ball. The Bears have it. Urlacher out of bounds at about the 9 by Melvin Tootin.
What, Tootin? He showed some athletic ability making that play, but that's Urlacher now. You know, I mean, the hustle and the fire and everything is still there. Well, that play was made by the rookie, Brian Knight. Caught Rodney from behind, and now this is the athletic ability of Urlacher. First of all, he turns into an offensive player. He scoops the ball up, knows how to run with it. Did this in college a lot at New Mexico. Tried to give a little move there.
Yeah,
a little mover, Melvin too. Gave him a little dead leg fake. Brian might have been running out of a little bit of a gas right there. He's only been playing all game. He's measuring him now. See, there's a little. Ooh. Tell you, Tootin put a little Urlacher on him.
A little helmet to helmet.
Well, that, and you know, we showed Urlacher just running through his opponent last series. That's what Tootin did to him. little of his own medicine.
Burris, the quarterback, gives to Leon Johnson, and there's maybe a half-yard. Terry Cousin and Witherspoon made the stop.
You know, we showed some of the fans. These fans, the ones that are here, they are liking this game, and you know they're doing exactly what they should be doing. This is a defensive stand. They're trying to keep the Bears out of the end zone. They're on their feet. You know, they're pumped up about it.
Johnson in the deep back. Burris gonna run himself. He hit the ground pretty hard with a jolt from Witherspoon again.
Yeah.
But he got across the 5.
It's the first time they've gotten him out of the pocket clean on that bootleg. Just a play action fake here. Thought they might have done this a little bit sooner. I mean, this is what he did in Canada for 3 years. Witherspoon, the rookie, just planted him. Yeah. I tell you, you know, you talk about out of the playoff picture and stuff, and well, we've seen this great hitting here today. So, and that's one of the reasons why you like to play the game. You like the contact.
Burris.
Got him.
Yes, sir. Dez White, his second of the day.
Nice play by Henry Burris, because they roll him out to his left, which is hard for a right-handed quarterback. But he does a great job of setting his feet out here and squaring his shoulders. Watch him square his shoulders, and now he can watch Dez White come off. That's a good throw. Good throw and good vision. I mean, that's good mechanic. The whole thing will look good. Dez White in the back of the end zone. That's just a scramble drill. Quarterback's in trouble, find an open spot. Anybody else's hair?
Nobody.
Yeah. Looks like it's a fire hazard most days.
Rodney Pete to Muhammad. Let's send you down again to Dan Jenkins.
All right, thank you very much, Pat. I'm with Al Groh, the head coach of the University of Virginia, the Cavaliers. And, Coach, first of all, you're down here because you're going to be playing a bowl game here, right?
Well, we're playing West Virginia here next Saturday, and we're going to have a sellout crowd of 73,000, so it ought to be a very juiced environment.
Well, as you know, one of your compatriots, Bill Parcells, is very much in the news, and the story is maybe he's going to Dallas.
Well, Dan, I haven't spoken to him in a few weeks here now, so I don't have any firsthand knowledge about it, but you know, that's one of the great franchises in the league, and he's one of the great coaches in the history of the league.
You think he has to take a high-profile deal like that one?
I wouldn't try to think for Bill, but that certainly would suit him well.
All right, Coach, thanks a lot. We greatly appreciate it. Pat?
Bill Parcells has never dodged the high profile.
No. He likes it. In fact,
he likes being known as the Big Tuna.
well, he also likes.
Not a lot of tunas in Dallas, but
He doesn't like being called the Big Tuna. But he likes those jobs.
he says he doesn't, but he likes it.
Oh, he does, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I remember when he was at Texas Tech, he used to be known as Big and Pretty. You know, he had the hair. I mean, the puka shells on.
Well, that doesn't even fit.
No, not now.
Nick Goings steps out of bounds at the 43. Cincinnati has tied up New Orleans. Atlanta still beating Detroit, but Detroit is coming closer.
Yeah, just a touchdown away right now.
Giants running away from Indianapolis.
The Giants, this is the greatest four-game stretch for Jim Fossil offensively since he's been there in 6 years. Going back to Parcells, I think he likes those situations, Pat, where he's going to be able to turn the whole thing around, like he did in New England. You know, like he did with the Giants. Yeah. And Dallas has, I think, enough there where you could have a one-year turnaround, and he keeps that whole, you know, what he does best going on.
The one thing that would entice Bill that they have a lot of in Dallas is money.
They have a lot of millionaires in Texas.
One that I could think of that would be directly involved. There's the owner of the Carolina Panthers, Jerry Richardson. What a nice man he is.
He got himself a good coach, I think, last year.
Yeah.
And John Fox. I remember talking to him at the Pro Bowl after he signed him. He was happy about the energy that he brought. You think Jerry Jones is going to get the checkbook out?
I think he has to do something like that. Yeah. I really do. This year, he could hang his hat on Emmitt Smith and his performance and record breaking. And the year before, he had the Troy Aikman trade for Joey Galloway. A lot of things going on. Now he needs something of impact, like Bill Parcells.
The question is, could they coexist? Both of them want control.
Well, I think
Jerry's at the stage where he has to have a guy, and he doesn't mind sharing the limelight. And he's a lot like Jimmy Johnson. He's going to control things. He wants to be in charge and all that.
I think that Bill Parcells is willing to give up some of his desire for power if the conditions are right, meaning basically the money.
Yeah.
Bill has a very good friend who lives nearby Dallas, the basketball coach at Texas Tech,
Robert Montgomery
and Bobby Knight. And they've been together a long time. Bobby Knight and Bill have been friends for a long time. And they talk almost certainly weekly, maybe more often than that.
Of course, they knew each other from West Point.
Yeah.
And you think that Jerry Jones has talked to Bobby Knight some? I mean, Bobby Knight down head coach down at Texas Tech.
I know that one of them has.
So the other one's probably been listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Straight ahead is Nick Goings. Jerry Jones and Bill Parcells did have a meeting at Teterboro Airport in New Jersey. It just happened that a few years ago.
Not the only place there have been private meetings over the years.
Well, in that same room a few years ago, I arranged a meeting between Bill Parcells and Hugh Culverhouse, who at that time owned the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. One of the most remarkable and impressive meetings I've ever been at.
Did it catch?
I don't know.
Ruled incomplete here, Pat.
Ruled incomplete. He had. And Mark Fields came out with the ball.
Look at this rush coming on the outside. That was Mike Minner. Ball got stripped by Fields and then recovered by Fields.
Yep.
Stripped by him, forced by Mark Fields, and then recovered by him.
The ball popped out the other side. I thought the Bears had it first.
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, they're sitting on it, and the ball just squirted loose. What a day by the front of Carolina.
That's the fourth Bear fumble. For a game break, let's take you again to Los Angeles and James Brown.
Pat, not a good game overall, but a great pass here from Mike McMahon. A bullet that he drills to Avion Cason, 15 yards, and Detroit is now within 7 of Atlanta and tying them back. Pat Summerall and Brian Baldinger.
We'll keep watching that one, as well as Cincinnati, New Orleans.
Oh, the Giants have an eye on the scoreboard in Indianapolis on that game. We're looking for a little help today.
Like a big day, statistically at least, for Kerry Collins. And he started to get hot also. Mike Brown came up to make the hit on D. Brown, and it was serious. Wesley Walls standing on the sideline.
Wesley, that foot's bothering him. Otherwise, he'd be in there right now.
Right.
I talked to him about his injury. Sometimes it's better if you just tear the whole fascia apart and let it grow back. And it'll grow back stronger. It's one of those things that'll heal and feel better in March.
Could be his last game ever here as a Panther. Pete. Brown, nothing. Brian Urlacher on the bottom of the pile. And here comes the field goal unit. Or who's going to be on it?
Or who's going to be with them?
Burris gets it out to Booker. That, I think, is only his second of the day.
Urlacher got him back in the game with that fumble recovery. Running it down there towards the goal line. Chicago scored to cut it to a field goal, and then Carolina just got a touchdown and got a field goal there to make it a 10-point game now.
Burris. Leon Johnson out of bounds.
The Bears still doing his job.
Joe Montgomery brought down by Urlacher and company.
I think the most popular player of all time here
would be between him and Sam Mills, I guess.
Yeah. Sam, of course,
Joe
coaching
Montgomery.
Here. Yeah. Former Arena League quarterback, XFL quarterback, out of the game for 3 years.
Selling insurance.
Selling term life insurance.
Back is Burris. Up the middle, complete to Marty Booker. Clock ticking down, 3:40. Carolina ahead of the Bears by 10. Burris. What a good throw that is. Had it, lost it. Marcus Robinson.
Had a great throw. I mean, put this one. I mean, Marcus Robinson gets behind this defense. Deion Grant came over and finished it, knocked the ball out. But this was a pretty good throw by Burris.
The Bears out of timeouts. It's third down. They can't stop it except for the 2-minute warning.
Pretty good example of that arm that we talked about from Henry Burris.
Four wide receivers set up, one running back. Burris back to throw, does. Booker scrambling for a first down. He's close. If he doesn't make it, they got to go for it.
Yeah. Fourth down here. Got to keep. Oh, they gave him the first down without a measurement.
Yeah.
Pretty lenient spot, I thought.
Not popular here.
No. John Shoup looking for another Henry Burris play.
Incomplete again. Quickly, let's go to James Brown for an update.
Hey, Pat. New Orleans 4th and 10 from his own 26. Aaron Brooks going for Jake Reed. Overthrows him. There is now a minute. Make that 22 seconds left in regulation. And it looks like Cincinnati will pull the upset over New Orleans. Back to Pat and Brian.
Cincinnati today. Minnesota yesterday.
Yeah, last week. What a... Remember, they collapsed last year, Pat. They lost their last 4 last year.
Yep.
They're losing last 2 in a row now against inferior opponents.
Inferior
on record only.
By record and by experts.
Yeah. Don't tell that to the Minnesota Vikings,
no.
Right?
Red McCombs doesn't believe that.
Well, you know, look at Cincinnati. I mean, they're in a position, you know, for the #1 draft pick, all that stuff. And I know those players are listening to any of that garbage.
Yep.
Out there trying to get their second win. Carolina was the Cincinnati Bengals of this league last year. That had lost 15 in a row. And tell you, from the day John Fox got here, he energized his franchise. And they didn't play one game this year like they were the worst team in the league. Or representative of anything like that.
Empty backfield, 3rd and 10. Burris going to take off. He'll get the first down. Past the 40. Clock continues to run, however.
Jenkins limping off the field, just trying to get by. You know, the one guy that never gets tired in this situation is Dez White. You know, he can keep running go routes all day.
Incomplete. Robinson, the target. Stops the clock with 2:24. 2nd and 10 bringing up.
That incompletion, get a chance to kind of change your personnel, keep the troops fresh out there. Well, Fox has been in a lot of games like this year that they've lost, where they had chances to put it on ice and win it. So
game we did.
Yeah, I mean,
Dallas.
no celebrating on Carolina's sideline.
2nd and 10. Burris has the ball batted away by Witherspoon. Cincinnati game is a final, we're told. And here's the update on the standings.
Giants hold on there in Indianapolis today. They go to 9-6. And all they have to do is go to, they just entertain the Eagles on Saturday afternoon, national TV. Our own group of Troy Aikman, Joe Buck, Chris Collinsworth will be there to bring the action, and man, it'll be a rowdy place at the Meadowlands.
Burris grounds it.
Like there was offsides against Carolina before that play took place.
Offside. Defense. Number 21. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Terry Cousin. Jack Del Rio.
Now, John Fox said that when he came here last year, they had to trim about a whole bunch of salary cap money, had to release 8 veterans. He said this year, they're out of salary cap purgatory. They've got some money to spend. You know, they got a plan in place for what they want to do to build on the excitement that they've provided.
Here's Burris back to throw. Outside of Booker. Stays in bounds, I believe. Reggie Howard took him. Fourth and 2. Burris back. Booker was the target. Burris just couldn't get it to him.